All right, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, now I ain't gonna lie, I've been giving y'all niggas a lot of Trump videos, you know what I'm saying? But it's big news, it's trending. We on this bitch, you know what I'm saying? But I want to see what if Trump did get assassinated. What would it look like? You know what I'm saying? We about to see.
On July 13th, 2024, Donald
Let's see what
Trump
he
escaped
know.
an attempt on his life. He managed to turn his head at just the right angle so that a bullet shot in his direction grazed his ear rather than hitting him in the head. But what would happen if he didn't turn his head? What if Donald Trump was assassinated that day? Who would replace him?
Y'all niggas wait. They worry about fuck that. What's gonna happen to America?
And could this lead to an American Civil War?
Possibly, yeah.
In this video, we're going to go through multiple scenarios on what would happen if Donald Trump got assassinated. The first one we'll look at is if he actually got shot on July 13th. Now, I need to be clear that at the time of this recording, the assassination attempt is still being investigated, so some details may change, but what we do know is that the shooter came incredibly close. Another thing that I want to make clear is that I don't wish ill will toward anyone. If you're new to the channel, you should know that we often look at news stories and give our hypothetical take on it.
That nigga had to make sure, like, hey,
that this is.
I don't want shit happen bad. That nigga made sure he said, hey,
on July 13th, the assassin
I don't want nothing happen bad.
140 meters away. Trump had just turned his head a couple of centimeters. If he hadn't have done this, it's very likely that he would have been killed by the bullet. Instead, the shot grazed his ear.
Damn.
If he hadn't been so lucky, we'd be looking at a completely different
world
today.
Fight.
Donald Trump would be dead. So, what would happen next? One of the most important things that would need to be figured out would be who would take the mantle of the Republican presidential nominee. It all depends on when this happens. The answer can change. If it were before the Republican National Convention or after. So, in the case of the July 13th assassination attempt, things would get a little more complicated.
You know what's crazy? It's really like an American that tried to take this nigga out.
Since this event happened right before
my
the
nigga Toupee almost fell off.
Convention, which was set for July 15th, the delegates involved in selecting the Republican presidential nominee would have to move incredibly fast. With little time in between the shooting and the convention, the nominee would likely be decided on the convention floor that night. It would be incredibly messy and frantic. There'd be backroom deals and public speeches from the hopeful nominees.
Damn.
Now, since Trump had no strong opposition during the primaries, almost everyone could be considered. It would be like going back to square one. Even people who didn't run in the primaries could be nominated.
Nigga, what is Amber Rose doing here? Hold on, let me go back to Bay Ass real quick. Hold on. I know, you know what I'm saying, but I was, you know what I'm saying, like, if you catch my drift, you know what I'm saying?
A night full of bids for power, and whoever's left standing would be the Republican nominee, who would then run for president. Now, there are some other scenarios that we'll get into in a bit, but what might happen outside of politics? Well, the answer to that is a lot more unknown and potentially terrifying. Donald Trump was seen yelling "fight" after he got shot, and there's a good chance his supporters would do just that. Now, we're not saying everyone, but the extreme fringe of his base might possibly engage. Just look what happened on January 6th, 2021. Trump supporters stormed the United States Capitol building. This was after their emotions were stoked by...
See, the fact that shit still happened, and like, you know what I'm saying, let a whole bunch, like, realistically, let's be real. If a whole bunch of black people walking that motherfucker, that bitch was getting sprayed. You know what I'm saying?
Realistically. Stolen election. Realistically. Claim that was proven to be false.
Let's be real.
So, what would happen
I ain't trying to be a politician, you know what I'm saying? But
assassinated? Well, they'd likely be looking for someone to blame, potentially a group of people or the opposing party. Donald Trump has incredibly passionate supporters, more passionate than what we've seen from almost any other political figure in the past. There's a good chance there could be outbursts of violence and civil unrest. Hopefully, this violence would be contained to small pockets of the country and not become a full-on civil war. With Biden still being president and commander-in-chief, if things got out of hand, hopefully they'd be able to put a stop to it. And hopefully no bigger militias would form either. Now, even without any violence, Trump would be idolized even more than he is today.
Yeah.
Supporters
On some
would make him
Tupac
a
shit.
martyr. And if some people on the left were happy that this happened, this would create an even bigger political divide
So
across
a big
the
ass
country. The new
riot.
Republican nominee would certainly use this as fuel to energize voters, turning him or her into an even stronger candidate. And
It's
more
crazy.
Trump supporters might be inspired to vote in the election now, even without him in the race. But what if?
See, like,
Trump
look at everybody
wasn't
just trying to
dead,
stand
but
up and look. If somebody getting shot, nigga, I'm on my Lil Kim shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hold on.
Technically, the rules and laws that are in place would still apply, but there could be more nuance. If there's a chance Trump comes back and he's healthy, then the party would likely debate whether or not he could continue as the nominee. They'd also consider if
That nigga
he'd
Trump
be in
really
good
came
enough
back.
shape to be sworn in if he potentially became president. Now, the story is a little bit different if the assassination attempt happened after
damn,
the
toe hurt?
RNC on July 15th.
Hold on. It's random as hell, but like, y'all see the motherfucking arm? You know what I'm saying? Nigga be in the gym.
Donald Trump would be elected as their nominee, so what would happen if he were to die before the election? Well, you might think that his running mate would be automatically elevated, so his current choice for vice president, J.D. Vance, would become the presidential nominee, but that's not the case. The nominee for president would still be voted upon by the Republican Party. They might go back to square one and reconvene the National Convention, or they might just select a new candidate. There's a good chance that Trump's running mate would become the presidential nominee, but it's not a guarantee.
So
Other
basically
party
he would.
members might want to get into the mix. Now, the same rules would apply if Trump won the election on November 5th. That would make him the president-elect until Inauguration Day on January 20th. If he were to die between those dates, the vice president-elect doesn't automatically become president. Since Trump wouldn't officially be sworn in, the 25th Amendment, which allows the vice president to become president if the current one dies, wouldn't be applicable. Now, this got me thinking, could anything like this potentially delay the election? Well, technically it could, but it's incredibly unlikely. Election day is set by federal law, and it's November 5th. In order for this to change, it would need to be voted on in the House of Representatives and in the Senate.
Damn.
The president would need to sign
Her throwing
off
it.
as
Hey,
well.
I see old girl throwing it back.
This can only happen if both parties are in agreement, which seems unlikely, especially given the political divide gripping the United States. Also, this would only delay
Y'all
the
remember when that
election
nigga
by a couple
Kanye
of
had a
weeks.
Make America Great
As the Constitution
Make
states,
America Great Again
the
hat.
president needs to be sworn in by January 20th of the following year. Failing that, there would be no president and things could get really ugly.
Yeah.
Now, this is how the election would be handled, which boils down to a lot of bureaucracy and systems we already have in place. What happens next
How do you even get
could
this?
be extreme civil unrest, violence, anger, a potential civil war. It's safe to say this would be a scary time for America for a number of reasons. On the other hand, maybe a violent act like this might inspire Americans to put down their weapons and come together. But considering the political division, that seems unlikely. Now, this is not
Told
a
you.
fun hypothetical scenario. Regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, it would be a scary time for Americans and for people around the world. Let's just hope this assassination attempt doesn't lead to any further violent acts. I know I don't want to end up in a World War III,
Yeah.
but that sounds like a
Damn.
story for another. What if?
So all that would have happened if Trump would have. Damn. So if Trump would have got shot, the country would have damn near been going through some shit. The vice president probably wouldn't. More than likely would have been, you know what I'm saying, the next runner up. But it would have been a vote. Everything happened. I'm glad Trump is still alive. I'm glad Trump is still alive because, you know, real shit, regardless if you like a nigga or not, I'm glad he's still alive because you know you don't want the nigga dead. You don't want him dead. You don't. But I'm glad though. I'm glad bro cool. But this will be crazy. This will be actually absolutely wild.
Yeah, my niggas got watches like Beatrice and them. Cuban links, diamond tinted links, all on my twin. We the take it whole gang, never call you again. Pour the lean up on stage, they start clapping their hands.
I told her as a kid, I am not working a job. Like, not working no job. I'm not working a job like you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing what you doing. You don't like it. Why would I set myself up to do something that you don't like? If you don't like, you my fucking mama. Why wouldn't I like it? You my mama. Like, that don't make no sense. So